Okay, so after months of procrastination, I have finally got down to making this video. I'm really excited to share my experience at the Supabase Hackathon. So a few months ago, I came across this tweet. It was essentially Supabase announcing their first ever hackathon, and I was really excited about it. It was a great time for me since my exams just ended and the next one was about a month away. So I had some time in my hands, and I also had a product that I wanted to build for such a long time, and this hackathon essentially gave me an incentive to start working on it. Also, the hackathon duration was just perfect for me. It was 7 days, but because of time zone differences, I actually had a bit more time. Soon after checking out the website, reading all the details and everything, I opened Google Docs and started listing down the features that I wanted to have in my project. On day one, I set up the Next.js project along with Supabase, and I also worked on user authentication. I wanted to get this part of the job done really quickly since I knew that I had to implement a WebSocket server and I knew nothing about WebSockets. So I wanted to spend more time working on that and getting this part out of my way as soon as possible. And all throughout, my brother and my best friend helped me with the design, testing the application, as well as making the final demo video. Beep, 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 beep. Beep. For user authentication, I used magic links instead of any other auth provider like Google or Facebook. So if you were trying to sign in, you would receive the login link in your email and you just need to click on it to sign in. At this point, I created a repository on GitHub and uploaded all my project files there. Then I started working on the navbar component, which was quite simple, and following that, the only thing left for the day was to finish building out the login component and making it look nice. Now, day 2 was spent on handling the files, that is, uploading the files to Supabase, allowing users to delete their files, as well as listing all the files when the user first logs in. I had never used a cloud storage service before, so it took some time wrapping my head around everything, especially things like handling storage buckets, managing user access to the various objects stored in these buckets. But as always, the Supabase documentation was extremely helpful and made it really easy. Now, on the third day, I deployed my site to Vercel to check if everything was working fine until that point, and it was, so I moved on to building out the server. This was the part that I dreaded the most since I had negligible knowledge about WebSockets, but one resource in particular was extremely helpful, and it was Hussein Nasser's YouTube channel. He has tons of great content, not just limited to WebSockets. Yeah, so as I was building out the server, I also watched all of his YouTube videos related to WebSockets. I built the server using Node.js along with the WS module for integrating WebSockets. I did not use a library like Socket.io since I felt that that level of abstraction was not necessary. Building out the server understandably took some time, and it was well into day 4 that I began working on the Watchparty side of things. So when a user clicked on the start button, I had to generate a link which could be used to stream the video and upload that link to a Postgres database that was also hosted by Supabase. Day 5 and most of day 6 was spent on improving the Watchparty experience as well as building out the entire server. Handling WebSocket connections in Next.js and React was a bit tricky since the connection got disconnected as the page re-rendered. I had to finally solve this by using the useRef hook. Another aspect of the Watchparty was that only the creator of the Watchparty was able to control the video playback, so the creator could pause, play, as well as scrub through the video. However, the other participants could not do this. And the playback events that were controlled by the creator would be synced in real time across all the participants, so I also had to implement that. The most exciting and fun part of the project was probably handling all the WebSocket events. All the participants of the watch party are actually connected to the server via WebSocket, and when the server receives any playback event from the creator, it relays that signal to each and every participant of the watch party, and the front end is constantly listening to these events and responding accordingly. So let's say the creator pauses the video, a WebSocket event is emitted, and when the server receives that event, it relays that information to the rest of the participants. And at the front end, when it receives that event, it simply pauses the video. Now, day 6 and 7 were the most hectic of all days since I was trying to deploy my Node.js server to the cloud. I tried using AWS EC2, but it gave me a lot of headache. The problem was that since I was using Vercel to host my front end and it automatically uses HTTPS, that meant that I had to use WSS connections to communicate with my WebSocket server. But in order to do that, I had to reconfigure my EC2 instance, and since I had never used it to deploy something, it was extremely difficult for me and everything felt like a dead end. At some point, I thought I would not even be able to submit my project within the deadline. Now, the solution was that I could use Nginx to route all the traffic from port 443, which is I think the default port for communicating through HTTPS. So I had to route all requests from 443 to port 8080, at which my server was running. And to do that, I could use Nginx or any other proxy, but I did not know how to do any of that. So yeah, it was a problem, and I finally got around this, but I had to use Heroku for that. One disadvantage of using Heroku was that I was using the free tier, so the server would automatically go to sleep if it was sitting idle for 30 minutes. So if the server is asleep and a person tries to start a watch party, he or she will have to wait some time for the server to wake up and start running before it can process the request. Although I would have liked to prevent that, for a hackathon I think it was acceptable. Okay, so after I had deployed my server on Heroku, I tested everything out and came to the conclusion that it was working fine. It was finally time for me to create the demo video for the hackathon. So I asked my brother and my best friend to help me out with that, and they did, so thank you to them. Now, after uploading the demo video to Google Drive and filling out the submission form, I was finally able to submit my project at the very last minute. Now, I say fine because there were issues with Fireplace, some edge cases that I had not considered earlier, but there was no time to fix those anymore. So I waited and hoped for the best. But I think it passed the benchmark for hackathon submissions, since a few days later I got an email from Supabase saying that I had won, and it asked for my address for shipping out the shirt, which was in the prizes. But I did not yet know if I was first or runner-up and in which category I had won. There were so many categories. But a few hours later, they tweeted out uh, all the hackathon winners, and it turned out that Fireplace was runner-up for the best overall project, and I was really happy after that. It was really exciting participating in my first hackathon, and even winning it. I did not think it would be possible, but yeah, I'm happy. Okay, so that was all for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy it, then don't forget to like this video and also make sure you subscribe to this channel, please.